I mean, Wanda, you've got the notes. Take it away.
Hold on, I did have the notes.
All right, good start. Good start.
I've got it. All right, so they obviously kicked off with 600i when? Yeah, valid question, because it's been so long since it was all teased and put out to the community, and right. So we want an update. They're saying it's still valid. They're focusing on the interior layouts to change to better utilize space, but the real reason why you don't have it is because they would delay a ship coming out that is not out already when we've got a 600i that essentially is going to do exactly the same as they want it to do, except not carry an overtonk. So yeah, I kind of get their methodology of thinking there. It's like, let's get the backlog out of the way before we go back and refine a ship that is already out and on the shop floor. Engineering, they wanted to get an sort of like an up-to-date answer from that. So same from the vehicle content side, all the ships are currently going to support engineering gameplay to some extent, even the single seaters with MFD access. They went for like fully physicalized components. Well over half the ships are like ready for that, with the remaining ones being single seaters where physicalized components are less critical. That saying, there was a bit of doing and ahhing over the Wolf releasing without the physicalized components, which is, even for us was a bit confusing. We're like, why is a new ship coming out not already up to, we say gold standard, but like current standard? Why wasn't that the case? But John was saying, they're there. He's seen the video. It's coming out in the patch soon. So it probably just was, it just wasn't quite ready to ship with that full functionality. And I get it. After speaking to a guy over a period of time who was in the marketing team, marketing is already planned a year in advance. So everything that they want to know, they already have like before they release. And yeah, it's a bit difficult to close the tap on something that is ready to go for a year. So yeah, that's pass it over to you guys to carry on, see what you thought about SEO and what you want to talk about.
Firstly, someone's getting banned. They've jumped in with Drake fanboy, and I'm assuming that that's only got to be aimed at me. So say your next words. Say your next words correctly, whatever it is. Yeah, they also wanted to add on to the top of that engineering is still being developed. It's not like the content team isn't holding it back. It is ready to be rolled out. But yeah, oh Lord, there's two of them. Okay, cool. So you're talking about someone else. All right, I'll let you off. You can stay for now. What bit did you get down to? Oh, the gold standard. Did you cover gold standard already? I won't listen to you. I kind of drone out when you start talking.
No, we're talking about like legacy starter ships, aren't you? Then
Yeah, so obviously, I don't know if anyone else noticed because we didn't, but the Aurora package was removed from the store, the starter package. That disappeared. So you can no longer get it now. So I assume it's only, it's probably a Cutter and the Mustang as a starter package, which is quite interesting because, I mean, the Aurora is what got me into the game. My first starter package was an Aurora pack. Don't know about you guys.
Time, baby.
Yeah. No, I was on Aurora at first.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously the OG start with an Aurora, and then they said that it's based on like prioritization is based on the ship popularity as well. So that's probably another reason why the 600i isn't necessarily getting worked out, because I mean it's popular on like social media, but I mean who like dailies it? If you're talking about like the amount of time flied, it's always going to be the smaller ships that are going to get the most sort of attention because that's what you're in the most. So it's right, they're not going to fix a random fault on an 890 jump when it's only an exclusive group of people that have it. But yeah, to do with ship popularity as well, which is pretty cool. But then the next topic they popped onto was ship modularity, which is really cool because one of the ships they've said coming out soon has modularity involved with it, with the Apollos. And I thought we'd only be getting one Apollo, but we're not. Apparently we're getting both, which should be pretty cool.
6, aren't we?
Yeah, we're getting 6 modules. Yeah, so we're getting left wing and a right wing. tier 1 med bed, 2 tier 2s, and 3.
Kind of hoping for both wings.
Yeah. But you can get them all. So 6, so 3 on each side, and then different standards of medical bed. But the key point is you're getting them all for free. So if you buy the ship, or you already have a package, you're going to get all of those attributed to your ship package, your ship bundle, for free. You're not going to pay for them, which is great because we've seen how predatory CIG's marketing have been. Yeah, I'm glad because they could have definitely sold those.
Yeah.
But then I'm thinking from a legal standpoint, can they? They sold a medical ship. They at least need to give one lot of the medical beds for free. But
did they say? I can't remember what Jared said now off the top of my head. Did he say that everyone that bought it before release gets that, or is it going forward after release as well? I can't remember if he said after release.
Yeah,
so they're always free.
Yeah, so if you have an Apollo currently, it'll get added to your account, and then if you buy an Apollo between now and onwards, it will already come with it. So they're basically saying people that have an active package, they'll be listed as like a module on your package. Whereas currently now, if you was to buy an Apollo, it doesn't say that. But obviously you can't buy an Apollo, so next time you can, it'll come with all those bits. So
cool.
Mine are coming out of buybacks pretty soon.
I own one sitting in my hangar. I don't really do a lot of, as you guys know, I don't really do a lot of the old CCUing stuff. So
yeah,
for me, my stuff sort of sits there and just sits there and sits there and sits there. So I've had an Apollo since God knows how long ago, and it's just been sitting there waiting for probably 2 years or something silly. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. Really, really excited for that to hit. And they're the modules. I'm going to be really interested what they allow you to do and how different it can make it. I think what I believe Jared said in the video that this was kind of to make up for drones not coming. I mean, that's not obviously the main reason, but it's a nice addition that we get this functionality and customization. And even though drones won't be in at first, I champion that. Like, we absolutely should wait until they're ready before it comes to the game. Like, I'm all for not rushing out features because they're releasing a ship and they're like, oh, we need drones now, and then we get some buggy mess that doesn't work. So yeah, very excited about the Apollo. I want to be an ambulance crew in Pyro, going around helping people. If medical beacons get distributed in Pyro, I hope we get some medical gameplay updates with it, but who knows?
Well, I've already spoke to One Dark about this, but I got my tinfoil hat on, and I know we're relatively pressed for time, but I need to put this one out there. The current event we're doing, the resource drive, is the Second Life initiative, right? So it's to do with Big Bad Doctor doing random stuff, and in the lore, do you know, on the big page when you load into the game, it says that, like, and there's adverts for it as well, where people are not respawning. So people are spending all this money and people aren't getting their regeneration that they're supposed to be having. I think, and knowing CIG, they're going to push the Apollos upon release, and it's going to be the next phase of the resource drive missions. And the next phase of these resource drive missions are going to be no one regens, or there's a limited amount of regenning.
It'd be tier 1, right?
It'd be tier 1, but did you see the sneak peek?
Yes.
The sneak peek with the little recharge thing?
Yes.
I've already seen that. I've already coined it. That's a medical battery recharge. So any beds with a med bed requires batteries. So it's basically what the green goo was supposed to be, is to do regenerations. So you're only going to have X amount of regens on these beds before you have to recharge the batteries.
Good.
Which is good.
Yep.
Which is awesome. And I can get away with that regenerating. But if you're 50 kilometers away from your regeneration station, it probably takes a full charge or something. I don't know. But I would love to see caveats to certain situations when you're going to want to recharge. But I think it's cool. I don't think it's great. I'm a big believer of going back to not being able to regen on all beds, but we'll see. But then, yeah, this new mission, this new resource drive initiative is going to hopefully change it back to how it used to be, to basically sell more Apollos. But
yeah, I think it'll be tier 1, won't it?
Yeah.
It'll be, registering your stuff and no more respawning of all your kit on, being able to loot people kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm hoping that comes back.
Yeah. It will do at some point, right? With tier 2 specifically, but tier 1 as well. Looting will be back, and you'll have to register your stuff. So I don't think we're going to get that this year personally. Like tier 1 and tier 2, I still feel like tier 0 will be in place for this new event. I think it will just be limited spawns on beds rather than anything else changing with tier 0. At least for now. People seem to like tier 0. I do like it, but I also think it's definitely not. It's only good for an alpha. It's only good now because we die so much through bugs mainly. As soon as that's rectified and our lives are in our hands properly without being at the mercy of bugs, tier 0 shouldn't be in the game.
Yeah.
But, we'll see how it goes. It's good for now.
Yeah, so I'll just finish up on the modularity topic then. So obviously that was the Apollo. We know that's coming. Be very excited. Expect a price increase? More likely. There's always a price increase on a concept. I don't think it's going to be a lot. I think the Apollos are actually quite nicely priced. Quite extortionately priced, but yeah, we'll see. And then they came out to command modules as well. So they spoke about the Caterpillar's command module. And as they said, it's going to be compatible with like the Iron. When I say compatible, I mean, they're doing the rework on how they design ships. So when they do the Caterpillar module, that tech and that sort of design is all going to be dragged across into the ironclads and stuff like that, and so on. But yeah, so command modules added to the roadmap under the tech dev view. They did say that it went to the end of the year, so December is when it planned to finish, but that was predominantly for the tech. So for the actual design of things and how it's going to fit into ships was an extension on that. So we're not expecting it this year, which sadly probably means Ironclad is also, we ain't going to be expecting it this year, but we will see. They talked about transfer and control authority and stuff, but yeah, that's something that's way above our level. We just play the game. And then I don't know if you want to continue on with the next one, GFA, if you have it up.
Yes, then they spoke about the bespoke weaponry trend. So the recent appearance of bespoke weapons on things like the Meteor and the Wolf is an unfortunate trend, not a deliberate future plan. So I kind of like that, and I don't. Obviously we've got bespoke weapons can sometimes be a bit troublesome and a bit frustrating for some players, but also it can add a bit of uniqueness to a ship. I don't know how you two boys feel about bespoke weapons.
It's only the last 2 ships, isn't it, that it's come out on?
Yeah, it's the last 2 ships, but it's not the only 2 ships.
No.
So that's my concern. But they did hint, and sorry to steal your topic, GFA, but they did hint that yes, they're bespoke, but doesn't mean they're the only ones that are going to be able to be fitted. So I didn't see that in the note. Is that in the note to continue on? Yes. Yeah, cool. Sorry. I've stole your thunder.
That's all right.
Carry on.
Well, there's only 2 more ships this year that will have bespoke weapons, which is the Perseus turret guns and an October ship that I don't think we actually know about. But these will also include generic weapon options as well. So it is good. There are reasons for bespoke weapons. It does allow for specific damage output control for balancing, so it makes their lives a lot easier when they're balancing these new weapons in these new ships, and it prevents sort of power creep and overpowered ships being released into the verse and then having to be dialed back all the time, which is something we have seen in the past a lot. And also we do get the added bonus of unique visual designs, which is nice. I mean, the Wolf's unfolding weapons like a Toyota's headlights and stuff like that is just chef's kiss. So I do love when they get to do things like that, and part of me does think, do you know what? I don't mind bespoke weapons all the time, especially on something that, let's be honest, is insignificant as like a Wolf. Like, it's a cool ship. It's definitely got some damage output, but it's also a bit of a glass cannon. So realistically, do those bespoke weapons ruin it? I don't think so. They have 2,400 rounds. They can do plenty of damage. If you haven't killed your target in a Wolf in 2,400 rounds, you're not going to. And if your target hasn't killed you after being shot at by 2,400 rounds, they're not going to. So, I don't know. Ballistic kind of sucks, but I think it's good. But yeah, as you said, does not mean that they're only ever going to have that weapon option. So we should see some new weapon options for things like the Wolf and the Meteor in due course. Pete, you want to talk about some of the shield mechanics and engineering stuff?
I just had something else up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. With the shields, it always seemed to me like it was like if you've got a size 1, that's 100% of the size 1, but 2 size 1s would be like 175% of that, and not quite. And yeah, I don't really understand how the shield mechanics work just yet. And to be fair, I probably should like look into it a bit more. But they were saying with the engineering update, ships with 2 shields will only have 2 active at a time. Is that right?
Yes.
And
It will hopefully stop shield cycling, right? Because that's a main problem. That's a massive problem in the game right now. I mean, it's been patched, I think, a little bit, but people still try and do it, and it sucks.
yeah. It does. We've kind of used it a while ago with an Idris that was being hounded by a whole squadron of people, and we were just out for like a joyride, and people just took it upon themselves to make us into a flying potato. But oh, hang on, we've got a poll up. Do we like the wolf? Give Perseus.
Yeah.
Wolf.
Give
I like
Perseus.
It was very fun to fly. Oh my gosh, it's incredible to fly.
The visibility in it is amazing, and the interior is fantastic.
The roll rate in it is just chef kiss.
Mhm.
And like I said, with the Toyota style headlights, but they flick out.
Yeah,
really cool. There's one thing I really don't like about the Wolf, and it was on another ship as well, is all forces have an equal and opposite reaction, right?
Mhm.
So why do both Gatling guns fire in the same direction? Because that turn would send the ship into a spin. If they counteracted each other, then you would eliminate that.
So it's 29
in the same direction.
Yeah, so that usually in things like that you would have counter rotation.
Yeah, got you.
But I'm just going to caveat that with it's 29.55. They just put a little bit more juice on one side's engines to sort of counter that roll. Yes.
No, I checked it. I looked at it. I literally sent my camera to those thrusters and I fired and was like, "There's nothing happening."
No. But like internally, they don't need it to actually happen.
Yeah, they don't need it. Just let's be honest, they're not going to. Well, what do you want them to do, man?
They can't even make respawning work properly. Don't worry about fucking counter rotating gun barrels.
It would look gnarly.
Because game.
It's so not even remotely important. But I know what you're saying. They should have counter rotating turrets. They don't need to make an animation for compensating thrust when you shoot. What do we expect this company to do? It's crazy.
Well, they made the decision for them to turn one way. Why not make the decision for them to turn, let's say, counter?
No, they just overlooked it. Whoever made the weapons is not a weapon specialist in real life in any way, shape, or form, and they just built a model. They're a 3D artist. They don't know about guns as much as someone in the military, for example, or even myself, who's very into their weaponry and researches a lot of stuff. They're not going to be as clued up about that. They're just making a model. So
weaponry.
Weaponry.
You got to bear in mind if you transferred that to a certain ship, and I'm going to throw the Corsair out there because it can take a big amount of Gatlins. If you have all the Gatlins on the port side of the vehicle, but then you decide for some reason you want to put lasers on the starboard side of the vehicle, doesn't matter if they're counter rotating or not, you still ain't going to be able to offset those. So I think for the sake of a game, which I mean the game's turning more arcadey sort of every major patch, I don't think it is good. It's not something they're going to even consider. It would make sense though. All they would quite simply need to do is just have a mirrored animation. And I don't know how hard it is to do, but in my mind it's simple. So fix your game. And anything fitted on one side. No, you're wrong. And anything fitted on one side of the ship just automatically inherits that animation rotation direction. And then if it's on the other side of the ship, just play it in reverse. Simple to me. Only if we had a vehicle art dev that could
pop into the channel.
Pop in
really handy.
and then kick off and tell me how stupid I am.
Have you thought about this or that?
Yeah, exactly. I don't care, mate. Just build a game. But yeah, okay, cool. So
it might be something that comes in later. Like
yeah,
some individuality about some stuff, or maybe someone will see it and go, do you know what? Next time we do that, absolutely, let's make sure they go the other way.
well, if they mirror decals and stickers around ships, surely they can just mirror a gun. But yeah, what's next on the list?
Well, before we go further, like slight tinfoil here. When arcade games are made, it sort of allows you to suspend reality to a certain degree. With this being what was always coined as a real life or real to life simulation style game, as real as they could make it, could the more recent decisions to go down the arcadey route just be so that you don't have to put as much effort into those particular aspects, meaning the game can come out sooner?
Can I take this one?
Absolutely.
The game's not becoming more arcadey. Let me tell you what's happening. They changed the direction slightly from when they started at the very, very early doors of the game. Everyone got it in their head that this was a space simulator, that it was a realistic, like down to the T of detail and granularity space simulator. And that's kind of how it started. And we've seen the fact there's toilets on ships and stuff like that. So at some point we're going to be
toilets.
Space poops. So there is a simulation part of the game in regards to how realistic it is. However, you have to remember that the game is also a game, and they want to make it an MMO. There is no MMO out there that can possibly be realistic down to the fingernails and all these kind of details, because it just wouldn't work. There's just too much going on. There needs to be arcadey features in an MMO, like dungeons and respawns and all that kind of stuff. So I think you've got to cut them some slack in the regard. I don't think it's becoming arcadey. It's just becoming the game that it was meant to be, which is an MMO, and realistically what the game should be if it wants to have any longevity. Space simulators and any simulators, flight sim, they have a very small player base because they're niche and they're really catered to sort of the nerds. Like, I love those games, so I'm very much in that thing. I love DCS, I love flight sims, I love space sims. But if we want this game to be as big as it can be and to have all these massive moments of base building and stuff, we have to just accept it is going to be an MMO, and that's what they're building it into. It's not becoming arcadey, it's just becoming a video game. And I'm here for that. I like it. I think that's what they should be doing. I don't really care about realism that much anymore. I still want it to be epic and like really awesome and have really unique moments. I want to take a shit on my ship. I want to do that. But at the same time, all the other really super hyper realistic stuff, I just think it's just noise. Like, it doesn't make the game any worse if it's not in there within reason.
So with the advent of like master modes, gearing up towards sort of like console and controller players, like I would argue that is the side of things that shouldn't be more made arcadey, but in my opinion, humble opinion, have definitely taken the steer towards arcadey. Then FPS, we're now getting audio and visual feedback when you have confirmed killed someone from across the room, which, with the little red like crosshair and like I said, the audio feedback, stuff like that it is definitely leading into that sort of like realm of arcade. The next thing will be every time you get a bullet hit, you see points pop up.
Well, yeah, there's limits, right? But at least with the hit markers, which I agree with is a bit like, and the visual with audio feedback, you can turn it off very quickly in the settings. But also, it's only on certain helmets, on combat helmets, so it kind of adds into the game. In the future, maybe you would have feedback about hitting your target in a combat helmet. So it kind of works in both ways, and then you can just turn it off entirely if you don't like it anyway. So you can make the game how you want it. At the end of the day, that's down to you. I kind of like hit markers because I hate not knowing if I've killed my target. But equally, a lot of people don't like that. They want to have to go and check if they've killed a target and have that realistic moment of like confirming your kill. Absolutely fine as well. That's how other people want to play the game. It's not for me, so I like the option. With the controllers and stuff, I get what you're saying. And master modes, as we know, is going to be rolled back on. I think they've been pretty clear that they're having another think about that. But we should be championing the fact that they want to make it an attainable game for consoles. again, if this gets locked off to just PC players and then just people that like space games and then just people that want space simulators, suddenly your player base is tiny and the game dies in a year. If it's on consoles and it's cross-play, which it will be, I imagine, that means this game will still be here in like 15 years or 20 years, 30 years. I would rather have that than not, personally. But I do get what you're saying.
I would rather have the Squadrons come out onto consoles and you leave the PU the F alone.
At the moment, that is what they're doing, though, isn't it?
With the breadth and spec of everything, absolutely should be just left. I know it is what they're doing for now, but then leave all the new flight mechanics inside Squadrons.
But it's not just console players that play with controller. Loads of PC players want to play with a controller. Chris Roberts played with a controller when he first played. He actually spoke about it loads.
He still does.
So I don't see the problem. A lot of people play games with controllers. A lot of people don't play a game if they can't play it with controllers, even on PC, because they prefer it. Not everyone wants to have mouse and keyboard, and not everyone wants to fork out a lot of money for really nice joysticks or even cheaper joysticks. Like, controllers are pretty accessible. Most people have one laying around from consoles or from other games they play on their PC. It just makes it more accessible. I know you're not against them. I'm just saying, like,
I spend lots of money on controllers. Controller collection, but
yeah. So making it accessible for those kind of people, I think, is really important. And I get what you're saying. I don't want it to take away what we get, because I'm not a controller player. I never touch a controller for this game specifically. Maybe in like Rocket League or something, those kind of games, driving games. But if I'm playing Star Citizen, I'm mouse and keyboard on foot, I'm joystick in the air. But I'm happy that they're thinking about making it accessible for controllers. But I do get what you're saying. I don't want them to take away and ruin the flight mechanics for the sake of a controller. Yeah. I get it. It's a hard line to walk.
You highlight my point perfectly. It's like they've taken away from the flight experience to cater towards that. Yeah. If it's accommodating players, people will get good. If they want to keep on playing, they'll get good. Think like Squadrons, make that arcadey, make that the fun game that they want, and get it out, get it shipped. Don't cut the corners if you need to get there, to a degree. But the PU is what we live in, like, and it's I guess maybe because I was really down to that refined racing, that it was so noticeable to people within the racing community, not so much to your casual player. So yeah. Anyway, we're like on time, so like. Let's not linger on that.
Yeah, for once.
Bring back the off-flight model.
Yeah.
Matthew, if you're out there watching, please bring it back.
Yeah.
CJ, you want to take the backlog ships? That's quite an interesting topic.
Well, am I not an interesting person? Are you trying to counteract my lack of enthusiasm?
No, Pete and I have been talking shit for the last 10 minutes, so
I know, yeah.
It's your turn to actually say some stuff.
No, that is absolutely fair. So they went on to the topic of backlog ships, and they keep saying it's obviously a constant a balancing act, because they don't want to work on the backlog only, right? Because people own the backlog ships. So they're not going to make money. So they need to do some new ships in there, sprinkle in some concepts. Baby crate behind. That's not a baby crate. There's got animals in there. And yeah, so they kind of want to work that ratio out so they can release some of the backlog ships, but also new stuff, because they kept pointing out that new ships make more money. For the animals, the feral children. So, and they did point out the fact that they don't want to release ships that don't have their content in game. So, if you went through that backlog, what ships can they actually release that have their content in game? Not that many, a few. So that's what their point was. Their point was saying that a lot of the ships are actually held by missing gameplay loops, not necessarily no art that's done on them. Pointed out the Endeavour, that is basically never coming out. But going on to, I'm not reading that. Someone's updating the document live in front of me. So going on to the Raelian, the Raelian? You spelled it weird. The Raelian. So the Raelian said they're going to have a cargo pod update. Because you've seen the cargo pods on the Raelian, they're like triangulars, like shapes. Yeah. Doesn't fit the SCU sort of like metric. Oh, Gib Legionnaire. Okay, I can go back and read that, because Gib Legionnaire. But yeah, so they've gone through the railing. The visuals are obviously, it's very like Sulan sort of style, very Gattac, kind of fits the look from the concept. But the triangular boxes don't really fit. They like them because it's part of like the Gattac sort of branding with the triangle sort of shapes. But they're going to tweak it so it can kind of fit. It said they are going to use the 32 SCU containers, which is interesting because the Raylan currently doesn't carry that much cargo. And they have said the cargo capacity will increase significantly. So
it carries a lot. It carries 400, doesn't it, or something? It's not a small amount.
Yeah, but it's going to carry significantly more. So that's going to put it up into C2 realms of territory, which for a ship that's currently priced $10 more expensive than the not even the Santok, it's $10 more cheaper. $10 more cheaper. That's really bad England. $10 cheaper than the mighty Cutlass Steel. So you can imagine how much of a price jump that's going to get. So
yeah, if you don't own a Raylan, buy one now.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, exactly. And for this reason, I theory crafted it's going to have a huge price increase a long time ago. So for that reason, I've got 10 CCUs for it,
nice.
ready to go.
I own a Raylan. That is. I currently have one.
Yeah. So, and it's going to be really good. And the fact that, and we've seen with the Raft, right, the external cargo containers are really useful. They don't have to be internalized. So if they're on the outside, you can just fucking pull things off and quickly do cargo missions. So I think the Raylan is going to be awesome. But yeah, more cargo. It's going to carry 32 SCU containers, which is great because they can get the full sort of like size. Whereas like the Raft, for example, you have to get smaller boxes. And they went on to the cargo, the cargo pods for the Carrack. They did confirm that you are going to be dropping the cargo pods to the ground before they open, so you can actually access them properly, which is really cool. Again, the Carrack is a ship that kind of already exists, and most of its gameplay functions are in the game and there, so it's not something they're going to be predominantly working on. So we might see that relatively soon. They did surprise us with the cargo doors opening, so they could surprise us with something else. Disengageable cargo would be great. Imagine like the jettisoning cargo if you're carrying containing on a mining ship. That would be really cool if you could just like dump everything off the side. But you see clipping on Star Citizen and things are just going to get yeeted everywhere. Moving on to the did someone else want to cover med beacons?
Hold on, that would be a cool like little addition, like disengage all cargo for like the Raft cargo grid. You could literally just come down into like a landing area, dump your cargo, go off to do something else, and your mates can deal with the cargo for you.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I've said before was you should be able to snap cargo containers together. So you should be able to like sort of group cargo containers. So imagine on the Raft you can carry 182 SCU of cargo, I think it is. But they were grouped. So you'd fly in, you'd drop them off. They would drop down as a bed of like boxes. But then you'd have to break that group like on the ground, on foot, to then move those cargo containers around, which I think could be really, really cool. Like, and even if they turn around and said, you can't store cargo whilst they're grouped, to kind of nerf it, to not be like you can just throw the whole 182 SCU in the elevator and be done with it. But it'd be really cool.
There's a benefit if you could do that.
Yeah.
Because you could start using cargo containers as bricks. But then you'd turn Star Citizen into Minecraft.
Yeah.
Building bases before base building's even in, just that with bricks.
Yeah, just drop a whole base off. Because you can actually, in the C2, you can build a full house, because you can put the walls up around and then have windows. I've done it before, and have a little door in there. And then imagine if you can just drop that off. But yeah, sorry, GFR, I saw you was going to speak and then I spoke over you. So do you remember what you want to chat about?
No.
like a GFA in the headlights.
Yeah, no, I was going to say something, but I think the moment's gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, very, very, very exciting stuff, especially for the Carrot getting its rework eventually. And
Yeah, for
dropping
sure.
off big loads of cargo would be pretty cool. It'd be probably too heavy to move, as you say. So it has to be like a brick that is so heavy you can't move it. It's just drop it off and then dismantle it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure.
Medical beacons.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy! I mentioned this earlier because I'm very excited for the Apollo. I really like the idea of being an ambulance crew, and so medical beacons, which were pulled due to bugs, essentially filling mission logs, which is not what we want. So they're expected to return with the Apollo launch next month, which I'm very excited for because I miss being able to go and help other people. Efforts are being made to restore their functionality. I kind of hope it comes with more than what it was before, like an actual dedicated medical beacon page where you can kind of raise a beacon but then have a direct communication with the person that accepts it. So it like opens like a direct comms, kind of like your party or your ship comms. It opens a direct messenger, so you can say, I'm on the way down, I'll be there in 5 minutes, blah blah, so that other people can't watch the chat about you coming to arrive to help this person. So I'd like to see that as like the absolute bare bones, is some like direct private messaging when you accept a beacon between the victim and the ambulance crew. Then obviously we have drones. So this is kind of what I touched on earlier in regards to us getting these multiple modules, but the drones will not be releasing with the Apollo launch. And as I said earlier, that's probably a good thing because they would probably be a buggy mess if they get rushed. So we don't want that. So the Apollo's original concept for drones, if you didn't know, sort of predated current medical gameplay and mechanics. So it was a planned way of a time gone by. So as compensation, we're getting those 6 Apollo modules. We're getting the tier 1, 2, and 3 medical bays, which will all be included for free with every Apollo purchase. We've already covered this, but just in case you missed that part, very, very important to know, you will be getting all those modules if you buy an Apollo. With ship entry and exit animations, some animations are a bit too long, things like the Talon and the shortening, which I think we've already got a little sneak peek of this. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. I don't see this in the notes, but you can actually break your animation getting in or getting out of the wolf. So if you get out of your wolf, as soon as you've put your foot on the wing, you can just cancel the animation and walk around. So they've already kind of got into this breaking down animation speeds because they need to be shortened. And it requires a lot of careful resynchronization of audios and visuals because obviously it plays a whole cinematic essentially, but in game it kind of just locks you off, but it's essentially a cinematic. So they need an ability to break out the animations, and that is kind of a priority for a different team, but they are working on it because they are bespoke to each and every ship's geometry, and it's tied to so many different ship events. So it's a big job to break apart, but the Wolf has launched with it. So yeah, if you have a Wolf, you want to try it out, bring it up, get in, get out, and as you're getting out, just move around. It will break the animation, and you can walk around freely on your wing of your Wolf, which is really cool. And then I think we'll move on to the future of logging in and out. Pete, you want to take this one?
Yeah, they were talking about whether you needed to log out in a bed, and they've taken the design decision to not move forward with beds in all ships that you could use them in. So I think it was John was saying you might see ships coming that go, this is a cool ship, it would do even better with a bed. But now they'll be able to make the decision to sleep on the floor, or you'll be able to sleep anywhere. But it seems like you won't sort of receive benefits, whereas you would receive benefit if you were to wake in the bed. So I assume they mean like a sleep buff. Not quite sure what that's going to look like just yet, but we'll obviously find out. Maybe they'll spring in some arthritis and some my back or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Have you played Kingdom Come Deliverance?
Not recently.
So
not a new one either.
I think they might do something similar to that. So the more tired you are, the more of so the less sleep you've had, the more detrimental it is to things like your stamina. So you have less stamina. You can't sprint for as long. You can't swing your axe for as long. Obviously, there's no melee weapons in Star Citizen yet, other than the knives. But I think they are looking at adding swords and stuff eventually. So it's stamina for like running around and stuff like that will decrease quicker, and you won't have as much because you're tired, and things like food and water, so you will get hungry quicker, which is a real thing, by the way, in real life. If you're overtired or you haven't had a lot of sleep, your body believes it's because you haven't got enough calories or you're hungry, so it makes you feel hungry. So you actually get the feeling of hunger a lot quicker and a lot more severely if you're tired. So that's why you always feel like you can eat a lot more if you're really overtired. So and same with drinking, you feel dehydrated because you're tired as well. So yeah, it's probably things like that. If you want to stick to that realism that we mentioned earlier, it'll be you need to drink more, you need to eat more, and you don't have as much sprint stamina, stuff like that. So get your sleep.
Yeah, but then how is it like you're ruined then for that game session until you either die and respawn, or like you log out in a bed and come back again, or it's
You'll probably have to go and get like an energy bar and then next time you log off, get some sleep. I get what you mean. It's a bit different in a single player game, right? Because you just skip time. You can't do that in Star Citizen.
Yeah.
But if it's you've got prison times that are served real, so I imagine it would be something like if you haven't had enough sleep in the game, then go and get some energy bars. But it will have to be really long-winded. Like if I play the game for 12 hours, I don't want the game to force me to log out because I'm tired. If I haven't, because I'm tired, I just think it should be if you log out without going to sleep and then log back in after 24 hours, then you maybe get some detrimental effects. But if I'm playing it on a session with my mates and it's like a 10-hour gaming session and I log in and I'm well rested, I don't want my character to feel tired during that play session, then I have to log out and take a break. That would be really stupid. So it's gonna take some trickery to get it to work. But yeah,
I think it'll be where you sleep. Obviously, that's going to be the basic tier 0 of it. Sleep in a bed, you'll come back well rested. I think no matter how long you go away for, it'll be like if you go away for 30 minutes and come back, you'll come back well rested. But if you end up logging out and your character does like what it does on Rust and just falls onto the floor, you'll come back with like a crap rested, or not well rested, unwell rested, or poorly rested. But going back to what you said about
well rested,
it's just, that's
you've
new
had
word.
some great England tonight, mate.
I have because I am tired and my body is thinking it's calories because I need more calories.
Log out in a bed.
I did log out in a bed, but to caveat your argument of needing your body needs more hydration and food if it's tired, I have the perfect answer for you. Not sponsored by Monster Energy, but Monster Energy comes with 250 calories per serving.
Yes.
Gives you caffeine. Yeah, not sponsored yet. And it gives you calories, hydration as well. So you don't need to sleep, you don't need to eat, and don't need to drink. It's like Cruise Lux, all in a can. But yeah, cool. Moving on.
So concept ships moving forward. I think Pete, you want to continue. You only had a short stint there.
No, that's fine. Right. So concepts. So this is going to be the first year, 2025, mark it down, 2955, first year without a single concept ship sale. I feel like
we got
there's definitely they confirmed this, that there's not going to be any, and even if they did, were something up now, it wouldn't be in a position ready to release to the public. So, it said it's not they're going to work on concept ships, but it just means I think they want to eliminate the X when factor to the questions BMM when, 600i rework when, and
Arastra
when. It's going to be a case of just really sort of drawing down and setting better expectations. This is what we're working towards. This is the rough window for when it's going to come out, as opposed to we're going to work on this when we get time, and then it being cleared off like the G series for the G102s, G12s? G12s, isn't it? Yeah. Stuff like that. So instead of it coming on and then taking it off, they would just be like, yeah, we're working on stuff. And then when they're ready to release, that will be when we find out. Equally, it's another way to prioritize working on the backlog at the moment by not catering for new concepts and spending the dev cycle in that sort of concept phase. Instead, they can focus on reconcepting, such as the Kraken. I know the Genesis Starliner, that's going to completely get reconcepted as well. We found that out at Bar Citizen, I think it was about a year ago now. I know you're looking forward to it. It'd be interesting to see where it's going. I was the whole time thinking, are we going to see... Because I wasn't watching it live. I had to watch it after the fact. And I was like, I'm still waiting for the E1 to come out. Are we going to start seeing that passenger gameplay? But
I hope so, and I hope AI as well. I hope if we're at a station there will be AI taxis taking players from A to B. So it's like there will be a ship departing. I mean, you already have the whole departures lounge thing, right? Saying on the screens. Obviously, it's just part of the lore and to make it atmospherical, and it doesn't mean anything right now. But they've kind of set it up to hopefully have that. So it'd be amazing if it was like there's a X ship, a Genesis Starline or whatever it is, leaving for Microtech from Area 18 within the next 20 minutes. Board it, take a seat, order a drink, go on your Mobiglass and sort out your contracts, and the flight will take 15 minutes. And then the AI takes off, jumps, lands, and you just go. That would be really cool. And then vice versa, players being able to take AI would be sick as well. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I have a question, just while we're on this topic, by the way.
Yeah.
Do you think, well, just before we move away from the ship concepts, do you think that if they were to release 1.0 right now with the ships that are currently in the game, that would be a problem? If they didn't release any more ships and 1.0 came out now, is that an issue in your head? Are there any ships that you think have to be out and playable before 1.0 comes out?
Yeah, all base building ships.
Mm-hmm. Base building.
Do you to get more of an understanding for your question? Do you mean release the game with all that they've promised without these ships like coming out, or do you mean with all the functionality that is currently in game that we just pretend for a moment that there was no further functionality it was due to be not offered?
I guess in terms of forget any gameplay loops that are not currently in. Let's just say 1.0 wasn't waiting for those new functionalities, but everything else was ready. If they just released the game and then they said you'll get the rest of these ships later, like basically, do you think ships are holding up the release of anything? Sort of more to your point of like they're waiting for their gameplay, right? The ships aren't the problem. Is basically the point I'm getting at. Like, yeah, when the gameplay is ready.
Yeah, no, they've said that. Like engineering, for example, isn't being held back by ships. Then obviously base building won't be held back by ships, because they could just release the Atlas version of a base builder and call it a day. But like that's not. I don't think that's held back. I think the tech is still not there. If they had all the tech ready, they would have a bigger premise on pushing those ships in the backlog and those newer ships. So the fact that we're not seeing those ships being pushed, like they've not mentioned anything about the what's base builder called? Pioneer. They've not mentioned anything about the Pioneer, even though it's supposed to be dropped within this 12-month period, which it quite clearly isn't happening. They've got the Starlancer build. You've got the Atlas building variant. Stuff like that. They're not nowhere near it being completed, hence why they're not working on any of the ships, or they've not told us that they're working on any of the ships. But again, they can't release 1.0, bro. They've not even released 4.0 yet.
1.0 is supposed to be out in the next 2 years, apparently, according to the Montreal team.
Yeah, and the Legionnaire was supposed to come out last year.
It's not... yeah, anyway, less said about that, the best.
Yeah. Right, positivity and vibes.
Yeah, positivity.
Going on to
things that are never going to happen.
Yeah, but the next thing that's never going to happen, the bloody battle cruiser. I did not expect to see that come up in the SCL. Like, I thought that was going to be something they got forgotten about. But they said it's probably going to be... I think they said it's going to be the largest pilotable ship, or largest usable ship, I think they said.
Bigger than the Bengal?
Well, is the Bengal going to be ownable? Is it going to be pilotable?
Yeah, you can build it, can't you? Oh, maybe, I don't know about piloted, but you can build it. They announced it
Showdown,
in the base building segment when you can build space stations. So the Bengal was... They initially said you would never be able to have the Bengal. Then obviously things change and they're like, oh yeah, well, now you can.
Yeah, but doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be able to use it though. Like, are you building it for a mission? Like, are you getting a payout? Are you building it for an NPC to then an NPC fly away?
The way they framed it is you're building it to own it, but you can't buy it on the play store, thank God. Be 25 grand, but you can build it in the thing to then fly away. The way they sold it in the video was it's to own for an org, and it's like the end game is owning a Bengal carrier and flying it and shooting things.
I'm hoping you...
I wouldn't mind them throwing it in the pledge store. I really wouldn't put them in there. It's down to people if they want to pay for it. I wouldn't buy one.
Well, yes, you would.
No,
You're stupid enough to. You bought a wolf within 5 minutes. You're stupid enough to buy a Bengal carrier. I know you are. I just know you are.
Confirmed.
Slightly incorrect.
Confirmed. Anyone that bought a wolf is stupid. That's what George said.
It's not wrong what you're saying, but I initially bought it with store credit.
Okay, initially, and then you bought another one.
Gib. And that,
Dude,
I'm
telling you, man, you would have a Bengal within 5 minutes. Just like the Idris. You were like,
oh no, we're not talking about Bengal. We're not talking about Bengal. We're talking about the
the battle cruiser on the pledge.
And you're like 25 grand. Yeah, let some people that are like millionaires absolutely go and buy it. If Orcs want to club it together for 25 grand, like a test or something, put 10 quid in each. Let them do it. Orcs
should work together to earn it. They should not band together to buy it for one person's account.
That is also where it's going to be absolutely amazing to see is if they don't put it in a pledge store and it only goes into game as a buildable, and it's going to be impossible to do that. I mean, it's going to take gosh knows how many resources from across the verse, and have no doubt some rare components included in that as well. It's going to force that gameplay loop of, right, we're going to build the battle cruiser, and that is going to be monumental. Make it none like insurable. Well, actually, no, maybe not, because if the game glitches and you lose it, wounded. But
it's like Wickelow's Polaris, right? Like Wickelow's Polaris was like a big thing, and it was hard to earn. And I can't remember what org it was, but it took them about 2 weeks or a week to get it. But it was cool. Wasn't it? Yeah, that's it, Shadow Mode. But they had to work together and earn it, and they were the first org to get it after a week. Obviously, this would take a lot longer than a week, probably 2, 3, 6 months for an org that size to get it, which it should take a long time to get something like that.
It needs to be an achievement.
Yeah, man, it's something cool. Like I'm never going to own it unless I join a massive org. But it'd be amazing to see it pop up in game or just on Twitter and be like, oh, these people are the first people to claim this ship. And if you see it in game, you know it's them because they're the only people in the world to have it at that time. I think that's sick. I'm really looking forward to moments like that and interacting with them and hopefully being able to explore it rather than getting murdered by it within 10 seconds of coming across it kind of thing. But yeah, man, I think it's cool. I think you should have to earn it. I'm so sick of people that just millionaires that play the game just having every ship in the game because they can. It's just like, you haven't earned that. I mean, you've earned it in real life to have the money, right? But
you can only fly one at a time.
I know, but if I see a rare ship like that, I want to respect the people that have got it. Like, damn, you've worked hard for that. That's awesome to see.
That's fair.
Not you've reached into your pocket and bought it on the pledge store.
That's fair.
Well,
that's really cool. Wants to know how big is the battle cruiser supposed to be, and I don't understand naval terminology, so there's so many sizes of ships. But I did see an infographic, and it was like there was the battle cruiser, and then the really small was the Bengal, and then tiny in the picture was the javelin, and I was like, oh mama, that's never coming out.
Is the battle cruiser the one that they're fighting in the East Squadron opening?
No, it's the Kingship.
That's the Kingship. The Retribution's have a really cool ship.
Yeah.
What is the battle cruiser then? I've never seen this thing.
Never seen it. As far as I'm aware, there isn't anything.
Trying to find out a size comparison. However, going back to one of the
how can you have a size comparison if you don't know what it is?
Because you can just like naval terminology and find out the sort of size approximation from that.
Yeah, they kind of fit like capital class is a naval terminology, and it gives you a rough premise of a size.
Okay,
but it will be sold though. It will be sold. So how much do you reckon it's going to be sold for?
On the pledge store.
Yeah, it will. It is on the pledge. It will be on the pledge store. They've said that.
Oh, did they actually?
Yeah. So what they said was they're moving away from concept ships entirely to go straight to flight ready. But the battle cruiser will be an exception, and they said because of the size of it and what it will take to develop, they have no option. They have to sell it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's fair. It's going to take like a team like a year, 2 years on their own to do it. So fair enough. They will sell that for how many Idrises could you fit in it? Like 20?
Well, we don't know the size. We don't know.
Can you imagine if you had like a docking for Idrises in there, much like the Idris has got docking for like first persons?
Yeah.
First persons, single seaters.
They'll sell it. It has to be affordable to an extent that it's not outrageous. Because if it was 25 grand, there's not that many people that are willing to do that. But there's been plenty of people that have bought the 15 grand package. So I reckon they'll probably price it at 15k on its own, something like that. Maybe like 12, because they know then it will sell to they know how many of those 15 grand packages they've sold. So they have quite a good metric on, if we put it up for like 12, all those people will probably buy one. So they have a good idea of how much it will sell for. So yeah, I reckon probably like 12 grand or something is my estimation. Something like that. What about you?
It'd be kind of interesting to see if you can melt enough ships in time for the sales.
But you have to have spent that in the first place.
Yeah.
Got to bear in mind.
What do you want to tell us, Pete?
He's already saved the money. He's already got it there.
To be fair, I wouldn't be able to melt that much. To be fair, I wouldn't. Going back to one of Das Wheelie Cool's earlier points, it was saying about he needs NPCs be a little further developed. I know they were talking about having NPC dropships coming in soon, where they're going to be able to essentially route find to you or path towards you, which is going to be cool. So if you're in a bunker and they're going to land on the surface, you're not going to know they're coming. They're going to call the elevator, come down and gank you. So that's going to be pretty cool. And it'll move away from these elevators, like where the elevators go, they go into nowhere, so suspend your reality, but they can just keep coming, don't they? Unless players are able to buy just the game, no starter, just the account only, and then rely on others for help to move around. That would be a cool idea. If people, when they first come into the game, have nothing, and we always said this, didn't we? It's like, you need those low economy workers to keep the economy running. You can't just have everyone as higher earners. So with the new players coming through, they would select, say, like Area 18, and they would have a whole host of tasks to do on Area 18, helping them get acquainted with FPS and sort of just negotiating the planets. Have a couple of ships, say you've got like the MPUVs that don't have quantum drives, make certain ones of those that can't leave the planet. Like they just can't exit the atmosphere, they just can't. So you're essentially trapping those new players without friends or whatever, and if they want to play the loot properly, then they start from nothing and they work their way up, and within sort of a week they've got enough money to go and buy a ship, and then they can go out. That would be cool. I don't know if it was something that Chris would go for, but then you would have a real rarity on game packages that have ships as well. So that would promote, like, I mean, it's out of game player trading, but yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Nice to see where people would go with that. I don't know what you guys in chat would think about that. Drop me what you think. Pitch to us and then never get out. Yeah, fair. It could be that you get an easier start on certain planets than others, but you know, maybe they, like with not this event, but the one before where you had to choose between headhunters and that, and you only had that, maybe you have your starting gear for that planet.
It's how all MMOs have kind of always done it, and I kind of hope they go down this route. But you kind of make a character for that sort of like server, in a sense. You like pick a location server. I don't know, they're not going to do it this way, but something like this, right? Like you pick a server, you join it, you have an account, you pick a character, you pick a faction, you pick a starting planet. Bosh, that is your life. That is where you were born. That is your lore. That is your backstory. That is the armor you start with that's unique to that planet. So you've always got that in your history of like that's where you came from. And if you want to change, you kind of have to start a new character altogether. I don't know how that's going to work with ships and the pledge store. That's the only problem with that kind of thing. But it would be really nice to see that option, because people might want to start a new character. I mean, there's people with ESO accounts that have 30 level 50 characters or whatever, where they've just built them up in different builds. Some are tanks, some are mages, whatever. I kind of hope they do something along those lines so there's replayability, but I do also get that it doesn't really fit with the pledge store, so I don't know. But yeah, having sort of unique locational planet based, like where you start the game, would be good.
Yeah, because you could have different jobs and different roles. So say, for instance, you start in Castro, then you start in the actual like military, and you start in Hurston, then you're doing industrial stuff.
Yeah.
Could be explored. That'd be pretty cool.